Welcome to the Fat Guys with Smokers podcast. I'm Mike.
And I'm John. We're a couple of overweight barbecue enthusiasts trying to share our love for sweet and smoky food with the world.
Thanks for hanging out with us as we talk about life, share recipes, successes, and failures that have all led to our love of cooking outdoors.
All right, everybody. Welcome to Fat Guys with Smokers. I'm John, and here with Mike.
There's a lot going on today, John.
I know.
A little more going on.
We've entered a new phase of our podcast fame. We've got cameras rolling today, so we can. We'll see if this one ends up on YouTube or not. We want to get it on YouTube. We think that'll be a good channel to be able to interact with everybody, but at least right now we'll have some fun B-roll for Instagram.
Yeah.
Which I'm looking forward to. I hope everyone's been enjoying the content. Mike made Instagram fame this weekend in the here in the neighborhood. All the housewives were hot with desire.
They were digging it, man. They were digging it.
Maybe not hot with desire, but they certainly liked giving Whitney a little bit of crap about it.
Yeah, it was kind of fun.
So why don't you tell us what you did, Mike?
Well, so there's this song. It's like a TikTok trend. I don't know what you call it, or maybe it's an older one. Honestly, there's a guy, and his handle I think on TikTok is Bored Trophy Husband or something. But he'll do these funny videos about how his wife thinks he's sexy when he does chores, and he'll dance to this song. So anyway, I tried to incorporate barbecue to it and try to make it like a romantic type of deal. I don't know. It was fun. I tell you what, though, there was like a 10-second clip where I was dancing, and I had to wait until none of my neighbors were outside, which wasn't hard because it was like 0 degrees. But it was like 10 seconds. Whitney filmed it, and I was like, all right, get back inside. Hurry before anybody sees us. But anyway, if you haven't seen it, check it out. It was pretty humiliating. The head coach of the drill team at the school that I work at sent me an email and offered me a job as the assistant head coach for the drill team after seeing my dance video. She was joking, obviously. But I told her I'd seen too many episodes of Dance Moms to think that would be a good idea. So
I was going to say, I feel like you show up to practice.
Yeah, I should.
Show up to practice, bring your whistle, see what happens.
That would be pretty awesome.
I may or may not have tried out for the cheerleading squad because one of my teachers was the coach and said, yeah, if you come out, you'll make the squad for sure, to a couple of buddies of mine. And
oh, really?
I luckily moved from that school right after it happened, but we showed up. She was not happy. Not happy.
Yeah, it was fun. I'm having fun with these reels. I don't know. I'm sure they're super cringy, and I'm sure I'll look back on them in a few years and be like, well, what were we thinking? But
just remember, Mike, you do this in your driveway. There are people that do this in Costco.
Yeah.
Not just try and fake film like I did in Costco. They like full on in a mall, highly crowded public places.
Busy places full of people. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I feel better about my life now. Thank you. You've talked me off the ledge.
Good.
Yeah.
Glad to hear it.
Yeah.
Okay, shout outs this week. We're going to take this down to just a single shout out that Mike and I both like. Want to make sure we hold on to enough people to shout out and maybe spend a little more time talking about them.
Yeah.
But this week it's Kendrick Barbecue. He's now a local boy. He originally from California and decided to move to Salt Lake.
Yeah. Can't say that I blame him. Get the heck out of California, you know.
Yeah, out of California, but he's got to be regretting it right about now. I don't think we've broken 30 in like 2 weeks now.
It is so cold. It is the opposite time to be a really successful barbecue man.
Yeah.
But
Kendrick, he's got a super cool story that went through a lot of hard things in life and kind of used barbecue to get back out of it. And now he's deep in with Traeger, and one of their like main ambassadors and does a lot of stuff with them. That he's living the dream. So Kenny, keep it up, man.
Yeah, I love watching his videos. Deliciousness. That's what he makes.
That he does. Alrighty, Mikey. What are we talking about today?
Well, we thought it'd be a good idea to talk about rubs and seasonings and stuff like that. And I just want to preface all of our conversation with eat what you like, Yeah. Like, I mean, we're going to give a couple of our opinions, and that's really all that they are. We like the way these taste. There are thousands of different rubs out there. I was just at Walmart today, and the barbecue rub section has gotten like twice as big as it used to be, I swear. And there's all these different brands that look like they'd be pretty good to try. And so I am by no means saying this is the only rub to ever use. These are just the ones that we have, I feel like, have the most experience with and have used. And so that's kind of our opinion.
Yeah, it's funny. I was at Walmart last night, and I remember, go back 5-6 years ago, they had like 3 barbecue rubs. They were like just trying to get there, and it's like an entire section now that they've got.
It's big.
So there's a bunch. They're becoming more and more readily available at places like Smith's, Kroger, Walmart, and then you've got these specialty stores like, we've got one here in town called the Barbecue Pit Stop. They literally have an entire wall, like 25 wall. Feet, 8 foot high, covered in different rubs.
Yeah, and they've got like, have you ever done like their testing station? You can go over and they've got all those open rubs, and you can like pour some into your hand and like taste them. I've never done it because it sounds kind of weird to like sit there and lick your finger in front of some dude at the store. I'm so glad we have
that on video now.
That's just like, delicious,
I'm gonna have so much fun with that footage.
I don't mean to be inappropriate, but yeah, you can taste everything. Which, to me, it's hard for me to taste a rub and know how it's gonna taste on a slab of meat. You know what I mean? But anyway, they do have that.
Yeah. So I mean, big shock. I've got a whole bunch of meat church rubs on here that I want to talk about.
Likewise, most of mine are killer hogs, Malcolm Reed's.
Yeah. So one of the things I've really enjoyed is we've kind of done more Instagram and gotten a few podcast episodes out, which we broke the 1,000 download mark.
Oh, we did. How did we not start with that? That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Thanks to everyone for listening and for coming along. But I've really enjoyed the comments and the questions we're getting. Lots of DMs. So keep those coming. We hope in going to YouTube, it'll provide a little bit better viewer engagement, and maybe
it's really easy to comment on a YouTube video versus I don't even think I know how to comment on a podcast. You have to like rate it and go here and there, and so
it's a pain in the butt.
Yeah,
for sure. So we'll I'm excited for that. I mean,
and that's what makes it fun, is interacting with other people, not just me and you. I mean, we have a great time, but answering people's questions and having people engage is kind of the point.
Yeah, we've had a bunch of questions. How do you get the membrane off the back of the ribs? We had someone reach out to us about that and talking about pellet flavors, which pellet flavors are, man, we could spend a lot of time talking about pellet.
Yeah. There are a lot of options, and, I mean, you would know better than me on pellet flavors. I basically stick with what I know.
Well, and I'll be honest. I mean, I think this is one thing that the stick burner guys get right. Like, there's definitely a difference in like a mesquite pellet or a char hickory pellet to an oak pellet. Like, you've really got to be paying attention, I think, to know the difference between oak, pecan, like
those milder
flavors.
Yeah, you
can tell the different ends of the spectrum pretty well. The middle, I think, it's kind of muddled.
I think so too.
So, that's a long way to say keep the questions coming. We really enjoy having those, and
it's kind of the point of what we're doing. So,
So let's jump into it, Mike. Okay. You did it. Mike's got our outline here, and I think he broke it down the right way because when I think about rubs, I think about the different meats,
Mm-hmm.
and you really gotta, like you said, it's hard to know what something's going to taste like on a certain kind of meat,
Right.
um, until you've eaten a lot of it. So if you're new to the sport,
And it is a sport, all right.
I'd say keep your flavors really simple and learn what the meat tastes like first.
Yeah,
Get that
I
in,
like that.
get that strong in your memory, and then you can start to dress it up.
Yeah, I agree. And on that note, a great way to start is just with these all-purpose rubs.
Mm-hmm.
There's a ton of them out there, and they're all very, very similar. Salt, pepper, garlic.
Yeah.
That's what I see. I mean,
And you can literally start salt, pepper, garlic.
if that's all you put, that's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, equal parts. I made my own once. I think I put equal parts salt and pepper, and then like half as much garlic or something, and it was great. And honestly, if that's all you used, I think that's really good.
Yeah.
And that really focuses the flavor on the meat, but also brings it out. Like I think the salt does a good job of kind of, I don't know, reacting with the meat maybe and making it sweat a little bit and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, if that's my favorite is it's called the all-purpose seasoning from Killer Hogs, Malcolm Reed's. And I put that on everything. I put it on eggs. I put it on beef, chicken, fish, whatever. It's good on vegetables, and I mean, it's salt, pepper, and garlic, which you can put on everything. And I think you nailed it. If you do that, then really what you're tasting is the meat, and you're seeing how that tastes and what flavors would go well with it.
Yeah. Yeah. The meat church version's called the gospel.
Mm-hmm.
It's salt, pepper, garlic. There's a lot of times you see red rubs. There's paprika in it. It doesn't add a lot of flavor, but it adds great color.
Just color, yeah.
So,
mm-hmm.
And that kind of red mahogany color is really like it pops in pictures and it's appealing to the eye. So that helps with you taste things first with your eyes.
Yeah.
So that helps. But going salt, pepper, garlic it's a great way to introduce like a little bit of seasoning, accentuate the main meat, and I think really the pepper level is what I would play with more than trying to change salt and garlic.
Yeah.
The redder or darker the meat, the more pepper, I would say. And
interesting.
As you get to whiter meats, I back off the pepper a little bit. That's how I do it.
I like that.
Yeah, I mean Texas barbecue, especially brisket.
Mm-hmm.
I mean that's salt and pepper. They call it the Dalmatian rub because it's equal parts kosher salt and equal part coarse black pepper.
And that's all they use.
Salt. That's like what traditionally is. I mean,
yeah,
a lot of people have added to that. They put garlic in it. They put coffee in it for brisket. But beef handles that kind of peppery or like stronger flavors than like a chicken breast is going to.
Yeah. And when you get into beef and pork and all that stuff, I almost always layer the flavors, which I think is pretty common to do, especially if you're trying to build a bark on it. And I'll always start, regardless of what I'm doing, I usually start with an AP rub and just do a light coat on both sides to just get things rolling. And then I'll layer on some of these other things that we'll talk about depending on what it is. So,
yeah. So find a good AP rub. I've got a couple that are kind of my go-to. I mean, gospel is like the definition AP rub that when I'm just looking for something, I mean, and it almost sits on the kitchen table. Like just like salt and pepper shaker wood. I mean, we put it on popcorn. We put it on.
Oh, popcorn.
Oh, yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Never thought of that.
We put it on everything. Is that gospel rub. The other one that I really like is it's Dia de la Fajita. I think I've talked about this one before. When I did chili verde, I used it on a pork shoulder, but it's got a little bit of a Mexican kick to it that I really like, and like I think there's actually a bottle of it in my truck.
Oh.
Like when I say we use it everywhere, we use it everywhere.
Bring it out in restaurants and not enough seasoning. Let me get my dia de la
I've
fajita.
never taken it in. I have put it on my French fries though.
That's awesome.
And then
I have not tried that. I've seen it, but I haven't tried that.
oh yeah, it's really good. And then the other one, it's Meat Church. They have a garlic and herb one, which when people ask me what does it taste like, I say it tastes like Sunday dinner.
Oh,
Like
okay. Like a roast that your mom made.
Mom's pork roast, mom's beef, like whatever it is, like that rub reminds me of Sunday dinner.
Huh.
So
Garlic and herb. That's just what it's called.
yeah, that's
garlic
what it's
and
called.
herb.
It's garlic herb. It's got a lot of salt in it. It's got some other, rosemary, thyme kind of flavors in it. But it's more of a savory than a smoky sweet barbecue.
I should try that. Like for Thanksgiving turkeys, I feel like I try to get a little more herb in there. So I'll use the AP rub and then I'll try to like make my own rosemary, thyme. I wonder if I just use that, if that would be.
You can. Good. It's a very traditional, like poultry kind of rub. Poultry is down at the end, and we can talk about how I do turkey.
Yeah.
I don't follow the traditions.
You silly goose.
It's a turkey, Mike, not a goose.
Oh, my bad. All right, what do we got next, John?
Sorry, I had a cough. That's what I had next.
Well, I appreciate you sharing that with us.
Hey, beautiful Cache Valley continues to be home to some of the worst air in the nation. I've got to go to LA for work next week, and I'm looking forward to going and breathing the nice, clear California air.
Seriously. We live in a beautiful place, but we're surrounded by mountains. So when it gets cold, it just sinks down and nothing can escape. So,
okay, beef rubs. We talked a little bit about this.
Yeah.
I think the overarching theme for beef rubs is pepper.
Yeah.
Like beef just loves pepper.
Mm-hmm.
So, surprise, surprise, another Meat Church rub. Like, I should stop saying that. They're all Meat Church rubs.
Yeah.
I've got a couple here that aren't, and I'll call them out. But, this is Holy Cow. So, Meat Church, you could actually like line their rubs up on a shelf, and you've got Gospel, which is their AP rub, and then you've got the Holy Gospel, which is it's got more pepper in it than the AP rub, and then you have Holy Cow, which has like twice the pepper that Holy Cow does, but they're all built on that AP rub, so it starts with that foundation. But that became my go-to for beef and brisket, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago. That I'll play with other flavors. I always come back to Holy Cow for beef. And whether it's a steak, whether it's a brisket.
I was going to say, it's not just brisket. Like, that's good on steak. That's good on burgers. That's good on everything.
Yeah, I love that combination. It's the right balance of pepper and salt, that it's, the pepper's there, but it doesn't burn your mouth. And then it's got enough garlic and other stuff in it to just kind of make things pop and sing. So
yeah,
that's my favorite rub for beef.
I like it. I like the hot barbecue rub from Killer Hogs.
Okay.
It's like the barbecue rub that's more sugary, more stuff like that. The hot barbecue rub is just more peppery, like we talked about. I feel like with beef, sugar is not really. I mean, you can put sugar on it and it's fine, but I feel like the pepper is really what helps you taste the beef. I feel like the sugar almost covers up delicious flavors in beef.
Yeah, there's definitely something that happens there where you taste less of the meat and more of the rub.
Yeah.
Which may, like, for some people, that may be what they're after. Like,
yeah, and I mean, it's like marinating in Dr. Pepper. Like, there's tons of sugar, and so that's kind of what you taste. But, yeah, this is, so the hot barbecue rub, Killer Hogs, very good, very nice color, kind of like you were talking about. It's got that paprika in it. I'll even put a little bit on my ribs, just the top side, because it makes a really pretty color and makes them look delicious. Like you said, you eat with your eyes first, and that's really good. There's also, and I looked this up like yesterday because I haven't been able to find them. It's called Oak Ridge Barbecue, and they had some awesome rubs, and they closed down at the end of this year. They're done. and I'm kind of bummed.
Bummer.
Yeah, I guess the inflation and COVID and everything just kind of, they posted a thing on their Facebook page. It was like, hey, we're done. Thanks for your 12 years of service. But they had a Black Ops brisket rub, which I guess I shouldn't talk about because it's not available anymore, but it was really good. And just kind of had just some different notes of pepper and a really pretty color on that too. I feel like pretty is the wrong word to use when you're talking about beef. Really,
hey, I support it.
Phenomenal color. I don't know. It seems less manly. It seems dainty.
Just say it with a deeper voice. Pretty.
It's a pretty brisket.
There you go.
Yeah, that sounds
better.
Equal parts creepy and better. So
yeah. So it's called Black Ops. Did it have charcoal in it? Like, was it a black, like a black colored rub?
Yeah, there was some black in it. Is it charcoal? What?
And I meant to look when you texted me earlier this week and said, "Hey, let's talk about rubs." This was like the one thing I was like, I've got to go research this because I don't know enough about it. But there are a bunch of rubs. Jess Pryles has one, Hardcore Carnivore Black, that is, and I've got it upstairs. I've used it a couple of times. That it's definitely one that, like, on the bottle it says like layer it in with other things, but it's a charcoal rub.
Huh. Actual charcoal.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
But it's one I haven't figured out yet because I'm not sure how to use it and I'm not sure like what it's trying to accomplish.
Right. What I'm reading here, and I've Googled this in the last 5 seconds. It says indoor charcoal grilling without the grill. So it kind of reminds me of kind of a liquid smoke type of deal, where you get a little note of charcoal without having to actually use charcoal, maybe?
Maybe.
I don't know.
I will do research and come back for the group.
I'm interested.
We can talk about that.
I'm interested. I've never even heard of this.
Yeah.
Huh.
Speaking of charcoal, my Weber kettle was in my garage, and my back deck had a foot of snow on it.
Right.
So I busted out the Weber kettle on Valentine's Day in your honor, Mike.
Oh, dude.
And before anyone panics, I pulled it out into the driveway. I didn't try and grill in my garage. I'm not.
How many houses have burned down the last year for people trying to grill in their garage?
We'll wait and see. There was a house last night that burned down.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I know there's been a couple around here that it's happened this year.
The one last summer, was that last summer? Maybe it was 2 summers ago. But they were using a Camp Chef in their garage, and the hose failed.
Yeah.
And the 25-gallon propane tank turned into a giant flamethrower.
Flamethrower for everything.
Yeah, the house was gone in 5 minutes.
Yeah. Sad deal. So, if you're grilling in your garage, go outside.
Yeah, don't do it.
Yeah.
Just say no, folks.
Yep, don't do it.
Nancy Reagan.
I like it.
Alrighty, beef. On to might arguably be the most popular barbecue protein ever.
I think so. I think you're right. Definitely, I want to say harder to screw up.
Yeah. So we're talking about pork.
Yeah.
And pork is, it's the training wheels of barbecue.
Yeah.
I would say.
Absolutely.
I tell people to start with pork shoulders. It's incredibly forgiving. Part of that's it's just got a lot of fat content to it.
Right.
It's cheaper. I mean, it's been getting more expensive, but you can still pretty regularly find pork shoulders for, $2.50, $3 a pound. And it's just a really versatile meat. It's somewhere between boring white chicken breast and $10 a pound ribeye.
Right.
So you've got some good flavor, and it just man, you can do so many things with pork.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that it kind of captures the flavor a little bit better. Like, whatever you put on there, I feel like, I don't know, it incorporates it. Maybe it's just in my head, but I feel like it incorporates whatever. You can do so many different flavors with it, You could do spicy, like your chili verde type of deal, or you can do a really sugary, like candied bacon type of deal. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah, for sure. You can go sweet, you can go savory, but I think probably the most popular thing is, again, kind of an all-purpose base, but you start to add in more sugar.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Sweet is really popular. My favorite is honey hog.
Mm-hmm.
Honey hog is really starting to get overtaken by Texas sugar for me. It's a sweeter rub, but it's got like this cayenne heat in the back of it that it is the newest of all the meat church rubs, and it's just stupid good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you smell it and you can't help but smile.
Yeah, it is really good. And it actually reminds me a lot, flavor-wise, of my favorite one that I've got on here, and that's the barbecue rub from Killer Hogs. And that's exactly what it is. Just sugary, still got some pepper and some heat in the back, but mostly it's a pretty sweet, really good rub. So, do you ever have a problem when you're cooking with sugar? Like, for example, I know when you're doing ribs, if you sauce them and put them back on, the main thing is you really don't want that sugar in the sauce to burn. Like, I feel like if I'm doing a steak or something, we're cooking so hot and fast that if you put sugar on that, you're just going to taste burnt sugar.
Yeah, that would make sense to me. I mean, I think it's how much sugar compared to how much moisture there is.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
You started to talk about this a little bit, but as you put salt on meat, it starts to sweat. It starts to pull some of the moisture out, and in that process, it also sucks some of the flavor in to replace it.
Yeah.
So as long as you've got enough salt to make it sweat and keep the sugar wet, you get that like sticky kind of caramely experience with the sugar. If you go too hot, it will carbonize, turn into a meteorite, and be really bitter.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I'm thinking of like the sides of a cotton candy bowl that just are really hard and gross. That's kind of what it reminds me of if it gets too hot and burns our sugar.
Yeah, there is nothing. You think of cotton candy, I think of kettle corn. And I think there is nothing worse in this world than burnt kettle corn. You've got burnt popcorn plus burnt sugar. Like, ugh.
Yeah, that sounds terrible.
But, pork rubs, I really like Texas sugar, honey hog. There is also I think we've talked about pecan is one of my favorite woods to cook with.
As well as me.
And now I'm going to forget it. I think it's honey nuts or D's nuts or...
Oh, dear.
Yeah, it is a hilarious label. But Meat Church it is a sweet rub that's got pecan dust in it.
Oh, pecan dust.
Uh-huh.
Interesting.
That is, it's just really good. That kind of adds a little bit of that nutty flavor back on top of pork, which is awesome. So I really like that. But this is another one, I mentioned it earlier, the garlic and herb is so good on pork that you get a sirloin roast and, hit it with a garlic and herby rub, and now you've got a real savory kind of Sunday dinner-esque meal rather than just barbecue. And I think that's one of the fun parts about barbecue is a lot of times when we talk barbecue, we're thinking Kansas City style. Go Chiefs. Way to go, Andy Reid. Congratulations.
Yeah, great win.
But you think of this like red, sticky barbecue, brown sugar, molasses kind of flavor. You can do all sorts of things with a smoker. You can have a very savory herb roast. You can have a very traditional turkey dinner off of it.
Yeah.
And it all comes down to what rub you put on it.
Yeah.
So lots of options, lots of things you can try there.
I just looked it up. It is called D's Nuts. Yes. So I feel like I'm back in school right now. So thanks for that.
Did you see that Mr. Beast came out with a new candy bar?
No.
That's called D's Nuts.
Oh my gosh. Jeez.
So supposed to be a peanut butter rub.
Oh, wow. Poultry rubs. Let's talk about that. What makes a good poultry rub? I feel like most of my experience making poultry is turkeys on Thanksgiving. So we kind of talked about this. I like the traditional taste. I also kind of like a Cajun style seasoning for poultry. So a lot of times when I do chicken, I'll use a Cajun seasoning on top of it. My favorite one, honestly, sometimes if I'm just cooking like chicken breasts to eat, this week we did some in the air fryer and I just put a little of that AP rub on and it was phenomenal. And so a lot of times that AP rub is kind of my go-to poultry rub too. But I also like Slap Ya Mama. You ever had that?
I haven't.
It's just a Cajun rub. It's pretty good. And I bought it because I thought the name was funny. But it's actually pretty good. Just reminds me a lot of what's that meat church rub? Holy Voodoo.
Holy Voodoo.
Reminds me a lot of that. Those notes in it. So that's kind of my go-to for poultry.
Yeah. Yeah. Holy Voodoo's one of mine. In the Cajun realm, as you start, I mean, we always called it Uncle Tony's at my house, but it's Tony Chachere's.
I've seen that, yeah.
Yeah, it's a green bottle with like a white marquee and red writing on it. I think you can find it at Walmart or any grocery store. Growing up, that was like the go-to Cajun seasoning. It was like the only one that was there before it really kind of got popular and took off.
Yeah.
So that's great on poultry. I've got another one here that's whiskey. Oh,
You're doing great, John. Stay with us.
I'm breathing. I'm hanging in there. I can't wait for spring and decent air to be around again.
Yeah.
But it's a whiskey bent barbecue. So Chad Ward, we talked about him a couple of episodes ago.
We shouted him out.
Yeah. Whiskey bent barbecue. It's a Blazing Bird. That it's a little bit spicier, but sugared rub. I wouldn't quite go all the way to like a Cajun seasoning, but I really like that kind of sweet heat.
Yeah.
Flavor on birds.
Yeah. And I feel like chicken, in my opinion, is kind of plain. And so the seasoning makes a big difference on chicken. I feel like brisket and a big slab of beef, you can play a little bit with the seasonings, but the beef is the star. I feel like with chicken, sometimes it's just so blah. Maybe it's just because we eat it so much. But so different rubs, I think, make a huge difference on chicken as opposed to a brisket.
Yeah, you definitely taste the rub more with chicken than anything else.
Yeah.
But you just talked about brisket and turkeys and all these things, and it reminded me that I needed to be highly controversial.
Oh dear.
With turkey.
Oof. All right.
And I wish I could take credit for this. Mr. Pittman did this first, and I have since only done turkeys this way. I use my beef rub on turkey.
Oh.
The holy cow.
Really?
And it is ridiculously good.
The extra pepper, huh?
The extra pepper. And it, like, if you ever gone to the deli and like gotten the like black pepper turkey for like sandwich meats.
Okay.
Same kind of flavor, but turkey like meal, like a roast turkey.
Yeah.
Is so good.
Interesting.
Yep. Use mayo as a binder and just slather it. Like any positive health benefits eating turkey has, I try and take away.
You go ahead and negate those. Huh?
Yeah. So
I've used mayo as a binder. It makes a good binder too.
Yeah.
And it doesn't like taste super mayo-y, I don't think.
Yeah. I skip the butter, get rid of it, and go straight to the mayo. And it sorry, podcast world.
Stay with us, John.
Oh, I'm dying. And I don't know if it's the egg in the mayo or what, but I feel like I get a way better golden color on my turkeys.
Yeah.
And it hangs there longer, so the rub sticks to it better. But I use that holy cow on it, and every time it's just so good.
That sounds good. And then do you follow it up with your garlic and herb, or do you just use holy cow?
Straight holy cow.
Really?
Sometimes I even put extra pepper on it.
Huh. Interesting.
Like, I don't know what it is about turkey, and I'm sure chicken would be similar,
Mm-hmm.
but man, it holds pepper and just, it's fantastic. I think the hard part about turkey is because it is a much leaner meat, like it doesn't sweat the same way a pork or a brisket does.
Yeah.
So getting flavor deep is really hard. So if you don't want to eat the skin, like that's cool, that's fine. Get your rub underneath the skin. Get your mayo, get your binder down there too, so that you can try and penetrate into the meat, because you do a traditional turkey, you don't want to eat the skin, which like Haley won't eat the skin, like she thinks it's gross.
Really?
And like, if I'm not even a huge skin fan, but what I will do is I'll pull it off and put it in the air fryer or put it under the broiler and like really turn it into like super crispy.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll eat that, and that's delicious.
Yeah, I don't like the rubbery skin that you get on a turkey.
Yeah, I don't think anybody does.
Yeah, and like even day old turkey skin is just not good. But that's usually where all the rub is. So that's a good
where
point.
all the flavor, like all of the seasoning, stays with the skin. So if you don't get right on what you're gonna eat, you're never gonna taste anything.
Yeah.
So, can I put you on the spot?
Oh, you can. I can't guarantee the results.
Well, I just know you just did a competition last summer.
Yeah.
One of the things you cooked were chicken thighs,
Mm-hmm.
and you started talking about rubbery skin. Like, that's half the reason I hate cooking thighs, is I can never get the skin right.
It's tough, man. It's brutal. And a lot of times what people will do is they'll take the skin completely off and then rub the meat. And then you like flap the skin back on. And as it cooks, it kind of tightens back onto it. But yeah, it's tough. I mean, I wish I had a better answer for you, but a lot of it is, I believe I cooked all of those on my Weber kettle, just hot, fast. I used the Vortex to kind of hopefully get a convection style, and my skin still wasn't great. We did not do well with chicken thighs. I mean, I didn't even know you cooked chicken thighs until after I signed up for the competition, and it was like the second thing on there. So, I mean, everything was learned within 6 months of the competition. So, but people like dedicate their life to it and are crazy. I'm not a huge fan just because of the skin. Like, even if you do get it right, it's like, I don't know.
I was going to say, the entire reason I didn't sign up for that competition was because it had chicken thighs.
Yeah.
It was thighs and spare ribs, right?
Yeah. Well, actually, they changed to back ribs before we started. So
that's a little annoying.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I practiced on spare ribs the whole time, and then they gave us back ribs when we showed up.
Yeah, that's a totally different cook.
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
And I'd rather cook back ribs than spare ribs.
Yeah.
Like, when it was like spare ribs and thighs, I was like,
Yeah.
I don't think I want to do this.
It is different. It's much different planning and everything. But yeah, and some competitions, you're not required to turn the skin in on your chicken thighs.
Really?
Yeah. According to my research. Most of them do, but there's some, like, I don't know, one of the big circuits does not require you to turn in your skin, which I feel like would be a game changer, because the skin, I feel like, is the hardest part.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it makes it a little bush league, but like, I'd take that. That'd be way more fun. Like,
yeah.
The skin stresses me out so much.
Yeah. Yep.
But all right. I guess sides, veggies, potatoes. What do you like using in terms of flavors and rubs there?
I have not experimented a lot. I love the AP. Put it on all my veggies, all my sides. Like, it's not. I mean, I'll put it on asparagus or on broccoli or whatever, and just sprinkle it on, and I love it. I like it on mashed potatoes. I like it on, any kind of a side. That's usually my go-to. But like I said, I have not experimented with a lot of them. I'm sure there's others that just make things pop, but AP is what I go to for any sides or veggies or anything like that.
And mine's the garlic and herb. Like, that garlic and herb rub elevates veggies to a whole new level. It's awesome on potatoes. And it pairs in really well with the traditional barbecue flavors.
Mm-hmm.
So we use that quite a bit. So in the garlic and herb meat church, I think it's like their like gourmet line or something. Like, the bottles are a little smaller. They're black labels. They look different than all the other meat church rubs. but they've got a garlic and herb, a lemon pepper, and an all-purpose. Or
Okay.
it's not all-purpose. What is it? It's like I think it's a seasoning salt. It's like Lowry's kind of
Oh,
style.
yeah. Okay.
But I really like those on sides. The lemon pepper is great too. Lemon pepper is actually really good on fish, especially white fish.
Right. Yeah.
That I don't eat a lot of fish.
I don't either.
And what fish I do eat typically ends up being like teriyaki salmon. My dad does I don't know if his is teriyaki or a ginger glaze, but a Asian inspired flavor of salmon, and that's
that sounds good.
Yeah, and it is super good. I just for whatever reason, my family we just don't eat a lot of fish.
Yeah, neither do we. My brother-in-law fishes a lot, and so sometimes I'll go with him and we'll have some trout that I put in the smoker, but I don't eat enough to have any opinion on what's a good rub or anything like that, but lemon pepper seems to be kind of the go-to.
Yeah, anytime I've ever had it, it's whether it's grilled, smoked, steamed, it's always butter, lemons, pepper on my fish.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
But I mean, if I'm eating fish, most of the time it's been deep fried at least once.
Yeah. So it
catfish.
Really doesn't matter what you put on it.
Yeah, catfish, cod, whole bunch of tartar sauce.
Yeah.
A little cocktail sauce maybe.
See, that's my style of fish. I'm sure people on the coasts would hear that and be like, that's not even seafood. But to me, that's the good stuff.
I was in North Carolina last week. Was that just last week I was there?
So, yeah.
Yeah, I've been traveling more for work last little bit. And one of the fun parts is just you get to eat a lot of different kinds of food.
Mm-hmm.
But North Carolina, man, it was all deep fried.
That's awesome.
Had a bunch of catfish and
really,
had an oyster po' boy that was it was pretty good. A lot of shrimp, like it was.
Does the catfish there, do you think, taste different than the catfish here? Because we've got a lot of like channel cats and mud cats and stuff.
Yeah, I was gonna say the stuff you buy at the grocery store, no, because most of that's farm raised.
Right.
I think that tastes closer to like the brackish water or the like clear river cats that you get back east.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't eat catfish that I catch around here.
Yeah, I don't either. I've heard they're garbage eaters, but I'd be willing to try it if I thought it would produce a similar flavor, but
yeah,
I don't fish enough to really know.
I tried them when I was a kid, and I guess this is a thing that like you have to know when to fish for catfish.
Yeah.
And it was like a really hot part of the summer, and they get kind of like mealy, and it was described as wormy to me. I don't know if there were actual worms or not.
Just that description would be enough for me to be like, I'm good.
Yeah, it's super muddy. It's like eating ducks in Utah. Like,
yeah,
they just eat garbage. They spend a lot of time in the mud and in the marshes, and it is not like eating a duck that's been in a cornfield all day long.
Which that makes sense.
I had duck while I was in North Carolina. I guess I was in I was just outside of DC when I had duck. But
how was it?
It was awesome. It was Peking duck.
You talked about that.
Yep. I was super excited about that. But
right on.
Yeah. So
well, we should have an episode just talking about your travels.
My travels haven't been that fun. We went a bunch of places, but we did flew in Monday, did 3 days in the car, put over 1,000 miles on the rental, and flew home Friday.
Gross.
And the guy sitting next to me, thankfully I was on the aisle. Poor guy was stuck in the middle. He would fit right in with you and me, Mike.
Oh,
he would actually make us
and he was in the middle?
He actually made us look a little trim. So super nice guy. We had fun, but it was definitely one of those where it was like he'd lean forward for a while and then I'd lean forward for a while. Like one of the gals that I work with was in the window and like she was just like smashed up against. Like I felt bad for her. There was no room on that aisle in planes these days, man. They are packed shoulder to shoulder.
Yeah.
So.
Well,
anything else?
That's all I got.
We've certainly talked enough about rubbing, and and lots of good things this morning. So until next time, I'm John.
I'm Mike.
And we're Fat Guys with Smokers. Thanks for listening to the Fat Guys with Smokers podcast. Be sure to check us out on Instagram and Facebook. Leave us a comment. We'd love to hear from you. Be sure to subscribe so you don't forget to tune in for even more nonsense from a couple of Fat Guys with Smokers.
Don't forget to like, subscribe.